Welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 339. If you're writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you're having some trouble finishing it, or perhaps you're at the stage where you need help reaching more readers to let them know about your book, you are in the right place. Good morning, happy Sunday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., I-N-K, especially if you're looking for me on social media. Every day, I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn someone who barely considers themselves to be a writer into a published book author. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Now, once again, happy Sunday. And what we do here on every Sunday is, rather than just giving you specific tips about writing your book, we kick back a little bit and I give you an example of a finished product. So I read an excerpt, whether it's from one of my own books, a client book, or a book that really inspires me and a book that I'm learning from. And at the end of the excerpt, I do actually pose a learning question. So we do make it about your writing that will hopefully help you with your book. So the excerpt I'm going to read today is from a client book, and it's called The Stress Switch, The Truth About Stress and How to Short Circuit It. And it's by Dr. Amy Serin, S-E-R-I-N. And seems like a timely topic, and more on that at the end of the excerpt on why this is such a timely topic. Now, the section I'm about to read is from the chapter called Cognitive Distortions, which in short means your brain playing tricks on you when you're stressed. This type of cognitive distortion that I'm going to talk to you about now is called catastrophizing. So it's like a catastrophe, but as a verb. Excuse me. Dr. Serin writes, after the Southwest Airlines tragedy where engine shrapnel went through the window and killed a woman, my friend who was going on a trip worried that the same exact situation would happen to her. In a state of stress, she was one of those who switched her window seat to an aisle. That irrational choice was an example of a combination of distortions, many times this is the case. First, she was overgeneralizing. If it happened once, it may happen again, or worse, it may happen to me. Second, she was catastrophizing, the absolute belief that something awful is going to happen. My friend became so stressed and therefore so convinced that something catastrophic would happen to her if she flew in an airplane that she nearly canceled her trip altogether. Her stress-switched, irrational, lizard brain distorted the facts into a belief that something bad was certain to happen on her flight, all based on one tragic but extremely isolated incident on that one Southwest flight. That is textbook catastrophizing. People sometimes ask me how much of a gut instinct or women's intuition or whatever you want to call it is actually overreactive stress, cleverly disguised as a legitimate warning sign. That's hard to answer because I can't choose a specific percentage, but I will remind you of the importance of tuning in and making yourself intentionally aware of whether you are in a state of stress before making an important decision. If you tune into your body and detect signs of stress, like increased breathing or heart rate, muscle tension, or racing thoughts, before you're hit with a hunch, there's a good possibility that it's a reaction to stress. Before you convince yourself to trust your hunch, get calm and reassess. You might find that your partner didn't text you because his phone actually was dead. You weren't invited to the party because you missed the email rather than because your friend intentionally excluded you, or travel really is safe even though you felt nervous about it. One of the reasons my friend even knew about the Southwest story was because of our 24/7 easy access to the news. As human beings, we are not designed for a constant stream of news. We are not hardwired to know about every catastrophe happening that we have no control over. That's just fuel for the stress switch's fire. People who constantly have the news on may not realize that they're bringing a lot of stress into their homes. They are flooding their nervous systems and salience networks with visual and auditory stimuli about murders, car chases, fires, and other highly stimulating pieces of information. And most of the information isn't needed for our survival. If we weren't watching the news, we would not know about all these things, and in all likelihood, our lives would not be affected at all. And that, again, was an excerpt from the book The Stress Switch, The Truth About Stress and How to Short Circuit It by Dr. Amy Sarin, of course, available on Amazon. And I hope you enjoyed the excerpt. So any of this sounding familiar lately? Obviously, what we're dealing with now, and now today, by the way, is March 14th, 2020. What we're dealing with the coronavirus is a little bit more than an isolated incident, but many of the things that Dr. Sarin pointed out in that excerpt are 100% true about triggering our stress switch, triggering our sympathetic nervous systems, and running to the store and buying 6 years worth of toilet paper. So this is why I chose this. So if it's sounding familiar, and if you've gotten, even if you've gotten caught up in the hysteria a little bit, first of all, don't beat yourself up. We don't need to, shame yourself or anything like that. I know there's a lot of that going around on social media. We're living in scary, uncertain times, and it's hard to know what to believe. But here's the thing, and as I just read in the excerpt from Dr. Sarin's book, the thing is to keep in mind, your mind. Our crazy reptilian brains that still have a whole bunch, or she calls it our lizard brains, that have a whole bunch of very old programs running, by the way. There's some old software in the back of our brains, like as in Windows 1, Windows 1.0. So when, as Dr. Sarin said, our stress switch gets activated, which is her way of saying our sympathetic nervous system gets triggered, we become prone to going totally Windows 1.0, totally lizard brain. And it can happen very fast and without our even noticing it. Reading that excerpt today was just my way of reminding you to do whatever you can to keep your stress switch in the off position. Prioritize sleep. Don't feel guilty about taking naps as needed. I know I never do. Stay hydrated. Take your vitamins. Read for fun. Write for fun. Listen to music. Watch your favorite movies and TV shows. Spend time with the ones you love. Oh, and don't forget to wash your hands. But keep that stress switch in the off position to the best of your ability. And you might read a copy of Amy's book, The Stress Switch, as well, to learn more. She goes into great detail about all the different ways that we exhibit stress and how to turn those ways off, ways that maybe you never even thought of. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And I would love for you to drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook and say hello. Once again, happy Sunday, happy weekend. Stay stress-free, authors. Until tomorrow, happy writing.